Good afternoon. This is Melissa with the StockSwoosh.com, and I'm here to go over the play of the day. This is the Stock Swoosh play of the day. It's GPN. Today is April 3rd. This has been a great month so far. I know it's only April 3rd, but really, Monday was DLLR, Tuesday was HPQ, Wednesday is GPN, and it's not even earnings season. So I just had a feeling that April was going to be a really good month. And to have these kinds of fantastic golden gaps, even before earnings season, I guess it just goes to show, you know, these things pop up. When they pop up, they could come in waves and droves. And that's why you gotta get up every morning, you gotta trade. And that's why it's okay if once in a while I just don't do anything if it doesn't rate high enough. Because the days that these things rate well enough to play, they're just terrific. This thing was phenomenal. And this thing actually rated 21 points. I gave it 21 points on my system, and it ended up going past the target. And that's what happens because when the selling starts to come in on the gap, they can go just full on and cause these huge, humongous red bars. And actually, I did say this morning that once this broke the low of the day, hold on, we'll go to the 1 minute. I said, stay in this thing as long as you can. Once this breaks the low of the day, it's just going to rock and roll. And that's really what it did. Don't let me find it. And the real target was 44.20. I'll show you that in a minute here. Hold on. Forget the first low of the day number here. It was 45.63. And I said that was a very important number. Why? Well, first of all, here's the target. I looked at it this morning and I said, you know, the target's very clear. It's right here. So I did say that this morning. First of all, I like the gap. I didn't even rate anything else actually today. When you can tell when I don't really even want to be bothered with anything else, and the gap's good. So I like this. This was a #1 watch today. This is what we did, and there wasn't anything else that I even had any conviction in but this. So I had 100% conviction that this would work. And when I saw the target as clear as day here at 44.20, I said, this is absolutely going there today. Boom, that's it. And every time I say the target is so clear that it screams at you, then you have to play it. It's just, you have to do it. In fact, I said that before in the room because you've got to. So this thing this morning that was trading around this area, okay? It was up and down around here, and it didn't have a crazy amount of volume pre-market, but it had enough for me to rate and play. And so that's what I did. I discussed these people over here, that they were in the way, but the reality was they weren't going to stop the gap from working, and I knew that. I wrote down all the numbers, though, anyways. I had all the numbers written down all along the way, but this target down here, this 44.20 target, was my all-on target, and it actually went past that by 5 cents. By 5 cents. And actually this will break 44 bucks in the next week. It just ran out of day here. It didn't even really get a rally into the close. Look, it just completely ran out of day. Just went and then it ran out of day, and then these people covered into the close. This would be like a hold overnight. I don't do that, but you know, you could have held this in overnight till tomorrow morning, because I bet it gaps down. Either it's going to gap down and continue, or it's going to gap it down in here. In fact, let's just look at that. I bet this plays out like that FDX and has another monster bar day right afterwards. There's two things that could happen with this tomorrow. One, it has a rest day. Or two, it falls off a cliff again tomorrow. It actually did go past the target. I know it was only by 5 cents, but the next target was 43 and 42. I wouldn't be surprised if this ran to 43 bucks tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if that did that at all, or down into here. 43 or 42.50. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, because once the pressure comes with these things, they run. And not everybody does get out the first day. Most people do. Smart people do. But some people don't. And then what causes it to go down then and follow through the second day or several days into it is other extra people finally getting out at worse prices because they can't take it anymore. And then they decide, oh, I guess it's, you know, this gap is real. But I rated the gap this morning, and I knew it was real. And once again, you know, let's just look at this. This bullish gap that happened back up here on January 9th, it ran red. And this was not what I would have called a corrective gap to fix the chart, going back up again to go where it needed to go, okay? It wasn't good enough. We've seen these oftentimes before. All right. So the chart had already started to become damaged down in here. And when this gap happened, it wasn't something to buy. And people did buy up around in here because they bought this rally up in here, and then they bought into here too, thinking that the stock was recovering or going up again. And they were trying to pick a bottom. Whether or not they thought it was because of this bullish gap, probably not, because people that pick bottoms don't tend to play gaps. But you can tell that there was buying that came in here. People tried to pick it and hold it up, and they weren't going to have it. So the real big money came in today and sold off the gap. And that's what you have to do. You have to play on the side of it. And that's why I really, when I rate the gap and I see the gap and I have a lot of conviction in it, I'm fine with taking aggressive entries because I have the side of the big money correctly in my rating systems. That's why I look at 26 things. It's very detailed. It's very focused. There's a lot to look at. But I feel a lot of confidence and conviction in doing them when they rate well, because I designed the whole system to be on the side of the daily trend of the chart. And what makes that is large institutional money that makes the waves, whether the trend is up or down. And in this case, it was down because the gap was a short. Look at this 15-minute chart. That is a thing of beauty. This thing was very difficult to get this morning. At first, when I was rating it in the morning, I didn't notice that the chart was heavily traded by machines. But after it started trading, it started going, I felt what was happening and I was reading it. I could see that it was traded by machines. The reality is that everything that we trade now has machines trading in it, black boxes and computers, and you have to be aware of that and trade with it. You have to learn how to trade as an advanced technical analyst, because otherwise just doing daily sell setups and buy setups and pivot trading is not enough to trade and make money consistently in this type of environment. In the way that the market is set up right now, you've got to learn so much more. You have to be skilled. I mean, you really have to be skilled. It's possible. You can learn it. You can do it. I'm doing it. I'm teaching it. But you do have to learn it. All right. It's not just as simple or easy peasy as this thing, that thing. And quite frankly, I don't know if the market ever was. You know, I don't know if the market ever was. There's always been machines that have traded the market. It's just more evident now that it's ever been that the price is so substantial. And sometimes the candlesticks can look really sloppy, but the numbers end up playing out perfectly. This target today was perfect. Perfect! That was perfect. There was the target. 44.25. I found 44.20 in another place, but that was it. Right there, look. That is just beautiful. Look at that. 44.14, that's where it went to, the top of this tail right there. Look. 44.15, 44.14. There were more numbers here at 44.25, 44.20 though, but that's where it went. And it really just ran out of day, and hardly anybody even covered. Not everybody that shorted this today covered, and also most of this was selling. When you have a bar like this that goes like a monster, it's a lot of selling pressure. There's shorting in there too, but a lot of selling pressure that creates that, which is the money selling out of it on the day. Beautiful 15-minute chart. You really don't see these that often where they just continue all day. And this thing really did. Almost to the point where the 8-period moving average was almost stretched like a straight line, and same with the 20. So this is what happened with this thing in the morning. I was cautious with it because it opened first and rallied hard, okay? And opened first and rallied hard, boop, like that, all right? This almost did a reverse swoosh. I saw it. I talked about it. I said, wait, don't do anything yet. And the reality is, though, that it came back on top of itself and then did a topping tail and then went red right after. But I still watched it, and I didn't call any trade in here. There isn't anything to do after this kind of action and activity. And I want to point out 45.63 was a number. Didn't break under here. Okay, so I was fully aware of that. So I had to wait. Wait for what? Wait for confirmation. Wait for confirmation it wasn't going to keep rallying. You don't want to short into something that is making higher highs and continuing up and in an uptrend. When I short stuff into rallies, it's for a reason. It's a rally into resistance, a resistance that I know based on the knowledge and information that I have and the things that I teach. I cannot short something that is rallying up that's a long. I'm shorting resistance, and I can tell the difference. And again, this is what I teach. So this big thrashing move was caused by machines, and it ran up right to a number, okay? And then it came back down on top of itself. In fact, this was the high of a previous bar in the daily chart. Came back in on top of itself, but I'm still not aggressive here. Why? Because there's multiple areas of resistance, and I want to make sure this is going to settle itself now. It's had too much of a thrashing here. So then it flips and does this, and I said, wait. And I was watching it cautiously, still not doing anything, still didn't call a trade in it, waiting for it to settle down. Here. This thing starts to settle down right in here is where it settled. And actually, 9:40 is a reversal time. It did trigger here, but this is too aggressive to take. You can be aggressive if you want it, but the stop would have to be over here. And the spread at one point in this in the morning was 20 to 30 cents. It was moving between 20 and 30. It finally settled down. Then it was about 15, and it was staying around 13 or 15. And that was all happening here in the morning. There's nothing you can do. The spread is what it is. So then, this is the first reversal time. Then it goes into 9:45. 9:45 is the next reversal time. And then I called the trade and said, you can take it over 46.33. Then the stop has to be over here, plus the 15 cents. All right, that's just what it had to be to get in it. And luckily, look, that's where it had to be, because then this tail came up here, but it didn't go over it. 58, 62, beautiful. So right in here, and then it drops off. And then I was telling everybody, hold it, hold it, hold it. Stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. And it did break under 46, and then it pooped up here, and I said, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And then it did this, but actually this looks a lot better in the 5-minute. Let me show you. I was telling everyone, wait for the 5-minute failure. I had so much conviction in this by the time it settled itself down after that morning area that I knew it was underway. I knew it was well underway as soon as it broke under the one spot. I'll go back. So then this 5-minute failed. Then I said, as soon as it goes back down under 46, we can put the stop, lower it, over 46. I said 46.55, just to be safe, because the 15-cent spread. But originally it was up here. So I said, we can lower it now. I said, stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. I really like this thing to keep going. I really had no issues at all with it breaking, not only under the low of the day, but all the way down to the bigger target. And then it got down to 45. It actually bounced there. Hold on. In the moment this was doing this, I said, it's going to break, it's going to break, it's going to break. I felt like it was going to break. I didn't think this was going to hold 45 at all. I knew the target, and this was well underway. I also saw the daily chart. At this point now, at the 45, okay, it's here. It's hanging on by a thread. But, you know, you're in this such good of a trade. Everybody has to take profits where they have to. If you don't get out of the whole thing here, you have to get out of at least half, something, anything, if you're in this and you took my entry. And it didn't do a double bottom. And it didn't bounce crazy like. So I still said, I think it's going to go back down. This was covering. This is just short covering. This wasn't any buying that came in at the whole number. And a whole number, when it halts at a whole number, something goes down and it goes whew, and that's not what happened here. All right. In fact, as soon as it rallied up, it settled back down again. And then I said, you can take another trade in this if you got out of this, or you could do an add and lower your stop. I really felt like it was going to go all the way down to the full on target today. Really, really felt it. So then this continued up here. Watched it, watched it, watched it. I said this is good as long as it stays under 46, which it did. Couldn't even get back up to 46, 45.87, 45.89 with the numbers here. Oh no, they're both 87. Look. I thought one of those numbers was 89. I have to go back and look in the 1 minute. Anyways, this was beautiful. Okay. So then I called another trade in this. And I said, if you really want to get back into it, it's going to go again. I saw it setting up on the 15. And you can take it right in here on this 5 minute, but the stop still has to be over these people. In fact, I told everyone to put the stop over 46 because of the fact of the spread. And it really had the whole number in case it did a little tail. And I had so much conviction in this to go, and then broke again. Broke again all the way down in here. And at this point here now, I can't even fault anyone if, you know, for getting out of this thing into this drop into almost 2 o'clock. At this point here, you don't know if it's really going to get onto the full on target. And it's also like 20 cents away. So if you were managed to get this thing down to there and do my first trade in the second call, this was a beautiful trade. If you couldn't stand it anymore, you know, to hold in for the bigger thing down to the break of possibly 44, which it didn't do, but it could have. I mean, honestly, it could have. You know, this is the place really to get out. All right. To hold something just for 20 some more cents when the real target was 44.20. It could have kept going. It might have kept going. It ran out a day or it would have kept going, but you don't know. And this is a beautiful trade. This trade I call was a beautiful trade. This trade I call was a beautiful trade. These were beautiful trades today. Beautiful entries. Jeez, the reason that I love trading gaps is they provide extremely good entries. They're very clear to me to read and see. Very clear. And the better I get, the clearer they're becoming. And the more advanced that I personally become in my own trading, the better they're becoming. And it just gets to the point where I know when I see it. I know as soon as I see it, if it's cooperating. And even these kinds of little things in the morning aren't setting me off anymore because I can read them completely. It's really, really nice. Yes, this was traded by machines, but the numbers were very good. In fact, the numbers were exact. And you can't get any better than that. You just can't get any better than that. So if you are interested in learning how to trade these gaps from me, I'm doing a class April 13th and 14th. It's Saturday and Sunday. If you're interested in signing up, email me for more information. It's an amazing class. It's a very good course that teaches a 26-point rating system on how to find these gaps like GPN, or what I call the golden gap. It's a term that I named because of the fact that this is like finding gold in the market when these stocks gap. And not every stock is a golden gap. There will be days when stuff does not rate high. And then you just don't play anything. You take the day off or you go and find another gap. There's plenty of stuff that gaps every morning. It just so happens that, you know, the ones that I've done this week have cooperated like so beautifully. Really, really, really just amazingly beautifully. And that's a great thing. So if you're interested in the gap class, then please contact me at melissa@thestockswoosh.com. And have a great night, everybody. This is GPN, the play of the day. Beautiful, beautiful bearish cat. My favorite things in the world, these golden gaps. Have a great week, everybody. And if you're interested in the gap class, email me at melissa@thestockswoosh.com. Oh, and don't forget, tomorrow night I'm doing a free webinar, a free lecture on why to trade gaps. So come if you're available. It's at 5:30 Eastern Time. Just go to the Stock Swoosh Trading Room, go to Facebook, and find the link and the password swoosh. It's at 5:30 Eastern Time. So have a great night, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon.